Welcome back to Credit Nerdery, brought to you by Kyronic Financial, Kyronic Credit Products. Welcome back to Credit Nerdery. What is the best and fastest way to do disputes on your credit report? What is the best and fastest way to do dispute on your credit report? First and foremost, depending on what you are trying to accomplish, that will dictate what is the best way to do dispute on your credit report. Some individuals tell you that you should not dispute your credit information online. You should not use the online portals of the credit bureaus. That information is only necessary if you realize that you have an issue and you want to probably sue in the future. Because once you go through the online platform, you give up your right to litigate any dispute between you and the credit bureaus, and you would have to go through arbitration. So if you have no intentions of ever suing, then it's very good to do your dispute online. You can craft your same letters and file the dispute as if you mail it in with all the documentation and everything else that you are going to put in, because the credit bureaus have in their portal the means for you to upload documents. That is the fastest way to dispute with them. The next way that you can dispute with them is that they have fax numbers. So you can craft your dispute and fax it in. That is even better, because when you fax it in, then you preserve your right to litigation, and you also get it to them as fast as you would the upload. So if you want to preserve your right to litigation and reserve the right to not wait a long time in order to get a response, or your mail getting there with 3-4 days or whatever, the best way to do it and the fastest way to get to them is to fax in the dispute, and then they will get it immediately. In addition, faxing the dispute might lower the cost for you, because if you have, for example, there are apps you can download on your smartphone that you pay a small fee to send a fax, and the fee that you would pay to send a fax is much cheaper than the fee that you would actually pay to do certified mail. And from the fax, you'd also have the receipt that you fax them the information and that the fax was received. So this is a very efficient way to do your dispute, where you still maintain a record. It becomes cheaper for you to do it, and all you have to do is just upload the documents within the fax, label it the right way. You'll have the date, you'll have the time, you'll have the notification to say that they receive it. So that is the second way that you can do it, and doing it that way, you will preserve your right to actually sue if you want to go down that road. The next way is to do it through the CFPB. Why this one gives you an advantage? The CFPB method is kind of a complaint method, but one of the issues that you have with the CFPB that can occur, and I face this issue a lot of time when I do dispute to the CFPB, you might actually send a dispute through the CFPB. The dispute was received by the creditor or the credit bureau, and it was processed in less than 30 days, and they send back the dispute, the response to you, and the conclusion of the dispute. And when you attempt to do a second round, the CFPB mark your dispute and close it out without sending it out, stating that this dispute resembles one that you did before or is the same dispute, and basically close out your dispute even though it's a follow-up, and you don't get a chance to challenge it up front before they make that decision. So that is one of the things, if you're going to use the CFPB, you gotta keep in mind that the CFP sometimes strikes dispute and mark them off as being the same, and you don't get a chance to actually put it through because they close it up. And you might go and re-upload it again, which you're losing time, especially if you're doing high volumes of dispute, and they do you the same thing. Because I have this happen several times on dispute when I am doing a follow-up with the creditor or the credit bureau and the CFPB close it out. But another way to do it, I said, is the CFPB, and the CFPB actually get the documents. You upload the documents, and they get the documentation to the credit bureau and the creditors for you very quickly. And that again is a way to save costs in doing your dispute and to save time. You can also call in your dispute over the phone. You can call in your dispute over the phone, and the credit bureaus actually, you do the dispute over the phone. But as I said, this again, you have to actually be patient, because to tell you the truth, the credit bureaus are in violation of the FCRA with this method. Because the FCRA requires the credit bureau to have enough staffing in place that is at the size capacity that matches the amount of business they do. The credit bureaus were actually fined in the early 2000s by the FTC for not having enough staff, where the process of calling in a dispute becomes efficient. So the credit bureaus are known to not be really efficient, and you have to be patient to wait a long time sometimes to get through to someone. And sometimes the person that you get through to is not in America. Sometimes they're in America, sometimes they are not. And sometimes they become very, very, very resistant when you do the dispute over the phone. The next way you can do a dispute, if you live in the particular state, especially if this dispute is for you, if you live in the state where the credit bureaus have their offices, you can walk in and do the dispute in person. You can walk in and get your file disclosure and do the dispute in person at the office of the credit bureau. Because one of the ways you can dispute things on your credit report is by walking into the office. As a matter of fact, this might be shocking to some of us to hear, because we usually just think about mailing in a dispute and stuff like that. But usually this is the way originally how credit reports were actually received and disclosures were made. It was done orally, and you had to walk into the office and do the dispute. So that is another way. If you live in the state, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Texas, where the credit bureaus have their main offices, you can actually walk in and do your file disclosure there on the spot, and then do your dispute right on the spot of the information that is in your file, especially if it is the case where you definitely know that there's inaccuracy in your file. You can walk in if you live in the States. Especially if you have a perennial problem on your credit report that is not going away and you're in the right, I would actually walk in and do the dispute. Yep. So those are the different ways how you can do the dispute. Let me just recap for you. You can do the dispute by creating a free account. Do not create a paid account with the credit bureaus. You don't need credit monitoring from them. Your banks and all over the place is giving you free credit monitoring where you can obtain your credit score report. They will try to sell you things when you try to do this, especially the TransUnion one can be very difficult to set up, because when you go there, they have so much different variation of their site. It's asking you for information, but you got to go to TransUnion and make sure that you go to membership login. And when you go to membership login, it's going to give you a screen that basically, a matter of fact, let me walk you to the TransUnion. It is the one that usually gives people the most headache to set up when I have individuals do this on myself. You go to TransUnion official site, you're going to go there. When you click on it, probably you're going Google. Let me walk you to the TransUnion, because the TransUnion usually is a bit more of a headache. I tend to see it give more problems than the other ones to set up. When you go to a TransUnion official site, you tap on it. Then where you see the blue TransUnion logo, tap on that and it will take you to another page. When you tap on the TransUnion blue logo and it take you to another page, at that page, go to the top where you see the three dots, which is the icon for the drop down. Tap on that three dot. Then you're gonna see it open and you tap on members login, and that's gonna take you to another page. When it takes you to another page, you're gonna see credit monitoring and service center. When you see the service center, tap on the service center one, and that will allow you to create the free account. Any other one you do, it's gonna consistently ask you to add payment information. I want you to do payment in order to get the service. You don't need to pay for any of the accounts that you open. And then through those portals, you can upload and do your disputes. So you have the dispute that you can do directly on the credit bureau's website. The drawback is if you have a case that you probably need to file in the future, you're gonna give up your right and automatically agree to mandatory arbitration when you accept the agreements to use the site. You can challenge that, but that's a whole different headache. If you don't want to give up your right but get access to them very fast, all the credit bureaus have a fax number. You can fax in your dispute and fax in all the information that you need. Your proof of address, your proof of identity, which is your ID, and a bill or a bank statement or a credit card statement for your proof of address, and your letter that you're with the information that you're disputing. And you can fax in all of those to do your dispute, and that would be fast and you would not give up your right if you want to litigate. Even though using the arbitration sometimes is a strategy that you can use to get at the credit bureaus too, because arbitration is very expensive and they have to pay the significant cost for the arbitration. You pay a small fee to get the process going, but they have to pay the significant cost. So usually they are very responsive if you have to go down that road too. The next way is to use a CFPB, but as I told you before, you might run into problems when you want to do follow-up if you are doing it in less than 30 days. With the CFPB sometimes close out your dispute without sending it off to them. And they basically have portals where you can upload the documents and you send it off to them. Then you can call in the dispute to the credit bureaus. You can call in the dispute and do the dispute that way. And the final way, you can actually, if you live in the states, because sometimes you don't want to travel, if you live in the states where the credit bureaus have their office, you can set up an appointment and drive to the office to get your file disclosure and do your dispute there on the spot. I guess you have never heard that before. you have never heard that before, right? Because you only know about mailing it in our car. You can walk in and do your dispute. That's the way credit reports was actually given. That is why in the FCRA, which most people are shocked when they read the FCRA because they don't know the history of credit reporting, when it says your credit report can be given to you orally. That is the primary way our credit reports used to be given, and file disclosure used to be given orally. You walk into the office and you get the information. All right, these are the way that you can do your disputes. These are the different methods that you can use to do your disputes. I hope this was helpful. Peace.